Hi, Jesse. We talked a couple weeks ago about some alternatives to the standard rocky intertidal interpretation. Of course, this is the kind of habitat that most people think about when we think about rocky shores. We think about a place that is really rich, has a huge diversity of things that people don't see except at very low tides, and that people can go down to at special times and explore and maybe find something really spectacular, like a gumboot chitin in a deep hole. Experienced tide pullers know that the upper reaches are also well worth exploration, and in fact, we try to encourage people to go not as low a tide to do that kind of habitat. We're still kind of focused on this habitat. It is my contention that most people, a lot of people, if not most people, who end up at the rocky shore environment do so this way. This is Sunset Bay, taken at low tide a couple weeks ago. You can see the holes for the, the mud shrimp and the sand shrimp. And it was a very popular beach. This was taken early in the morning on a weekday, and so there were very few people on the beach. But sometimes on a nice day, there would be dozens and dozens of people swarming around this beach, even on tides that aren't quite this low. So people go down to the beach to walk on the sand, as you know, and they'll walk around, and we've all seen them do this, looking around and talking to each other and looking at the sand and looking for pebbles and kind of seeing what they can see. I've seen a lot of people just walk past covered rocks while they're on the beach. That's not what they're focused on. They see the green slime, as I've heard people describe it, and the parents might even say, "Stay away from that. I don't want that in my car. So don't mess with that." The very northern end of Sunset Bay is a boat launch, and you can see the tracks from the trailers that have been launching vessels here earlier in the day. The more observant people get excited by some of the wrack, the Neurocystis, nice Neurocystis hauled up on or landed up on shore. And then sometimes they'll run across rocky intertidal. We've all seen people do this, and I think it's often an overlooked environment. That's my pitch right now, is that a lot of people are surprised by this kind of place when they're at the beach. And certainly there's a huge variety of microhabitats in these little beach edge rocks. Variety of organisms, nice stories to tell about the variety in the habitat, about the adaptations that the organisms have for this especially challenging place. This is taken late summer. It looks like, to me, like some of the aggregating anemones are starting to clone. Nice barnacles get scratched on. So, in addition to the biological systems that are here, there's also opportunities, of course, to talk about the geology of both the sandy beach and the rocky shore in the same spot. So we could present that kind of habitat as both a place that you see on your way to the rocky shore, but I think we can also present that kind of habitat as having its own value for exploration. Again, there's some nice stories to tell about the sandy beach, swash lines, for example, the sorting of the sand grains by weight. We see the patterns, slight patterns here in the color of the sand. And because it's at the edge between the rocky shore and sandy shore, some of the organisms will cross over, like the shore crabs that came out when it was still dark, probably. You can almost hear their little feet making noises, can't you, when they walk over the sand? So here's a line of aggregating anemones that are growing in a crack in the rock that's underneath the sand. And the aggregating anemones and the enteromorpha are evidence, of course, of the winter beach, that when the sand is not on top of the rocks, the sand is coming and covered it up here in the summertime. We get another story, a seasonal story that can be told in this habitat. So the habitat diversifies more on the very north end, where it gets very, the sediment gets very fine, it gets very mucky, anaerobic, black, and kind of icky. There are places on the very northern end. People lose their shoes. So again, this habitat should stand on its own, but it can also be presented as an entryway to the rocky shore that most people are familiar with and that they're aiming for. Again, Jesse, let me know what you think. Looking forward to hearing from you. Bye.